So today I want to look at feathering carnations. Might sound like a weird thing, and this is going to be a bit of a close-up, so you won't get to see my lovely face. You will, however, get to see my dog and meet Winston. So I wanted to look at feathering carnations. So this is an apple tea carnation, kind of peachy colour, and it's got some really lovely little tinges of pink in the middle. I'm not a huge fan of carnations. But I came across, I was reading, I think it's Malcolm, I can't remember the name of the book. Anyway, it's kind of a how-to on floristry. He's an old school florist. But the sort of technique side of stuff in his book is really useful. I was looking at wiring and then came across feathering. And now I've done a level 4 MVQ a long time ago and sat next to a lady in class who was taught in the 80s in sort of floristry, but her wiring was incredible, really beautiful and really delicate. And she did actually show me how to feather carnations, but I'd completely forgotten. So I was looking at and thinking, actually, carnation can become quite a useful flower when you do this, because you're breaking it down into smaller parts. So essentially, you're just cutting it, I think, just below the calyx. So just there. I think these are the sepals, I think, these green bits here. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I've been trying to sort of look at the anatomy of a carnation on YouTube, but there's not much, some rubbish, really rubbish videos, but yeah, you're essentially just getting rid of the stem that was here. And then you're breaking it into two, like so. So I'll do it on the side so you can see I'm splitting the entire thing. It's quite easy to do, so breaking it down so you've got two bits like that. Okay, they're quite delicate, but you've just essentially bust the flower into two. So this green bit, the sepal, I think it is, in my experiments I've pulled it off and just used the petals. If you're kind of delicate with them, if you're not sort of ham-fisted, then you can get away with not having this, because it's quite bulky. Because essentially we want to tape these into small bunches, so this becomes too much of a nuisance. So you can just pull it off, just like that. So then you can kind of move on to taping it and seeing what you think. But there you go. So that's sort of the start of feathering a carnation. But these apple tea carnations are quite a favourite of mine, I think, and quite a useful flower. Get yourself some green gutter tape. Okay. So just holding it, quite tightly in your hands. And the key seems to be, for me, getting this right, was to tape this first bit. No wire, just tape it all together. And I guess you could do this with pinks, I guess, if you wanted to. There you go. So you've essentially got a smaller bud that you can use. Okay, so I'm going to show you again. So this is the quarter, I guess, of the carnation. Taking this green bit off, just going to tape it, holding it quite tightly. Oh, if the tape breaks, then don't worry, it happens. Just start again, my hands aren't warm enough yet. So always stretching that tape as much as possible. Pull it off, twizzly twizzly, there you go. Two, like that. So I'll do it again, put these to one side. So we've got the other half of the carnation. So I'm going to break it in two. Pull this green outer section off. Get yourself a silver wire. No, sorry, not silver wire. Green tape. Oh, it's Monday. And then sort of just gathering it in your fingers. Try and hold it as tightly as possible. And get that tape tight as possible. Oops. Don't worry if it breaks, it's because your hands aren't warm enough. Mine's gonna just keep breaking. Okay. There we go. Right, got this last one here. So holding it all in your fingers. Oops. There you go. So we have 4 little new flowers, and I just kind of think so they just make lovely little sections of flower essentially that could be used in more delicate wiring work really. And the way that I would wire them is do a hairpin, so you can kind of see hairpin, lay it against the flower, get your tape and tape that in. There's one. Okay, do it again. So fine silver wire, I think these are 24 gauge. Get your taped flower here, move these out of the way. Hairpin, lay it against. Taping it round. And there's another 2. And I'll just do these last 2 quickly so you can see. Hairpin. It's good practice for your wiring as well. Tape around. Last one. There you go. So we now have 4 pieces that you could use in a buttonhole or a corsage. I'm going to use them, or I used them in a flower crown, so I'm just going to show you that now. Okay, so now we've got the feathered carnations. You can see them. I've also wired and taped some other bits that we're going to use. I'm just going to start creating really small section of flower crown just for you to be able to see what it'll look like. So I have hydrangea, soft ruscus, got lisianthus, and also some dried eucalyptus berries with the carnations. So lots of little bits, they're all wired and taped. So I've got just here, you can kind of see, it's a thick gauge wire. I've taped it already and I put a loop at the top, as I would if I was starting a flower crown. And then I've got myself just some stretchy gutter tape, and literally just going to start taping on. So keeping it quite thick, quite bulky crown. Kind of works for autumn time, I think. It's nice. And the burgundy of this, so this is Rosanne Brown, the Lisianthus. Nice to have that in. So you kind of want to hide that wire, but just these just work really well. So just laying it on top, stretching the tape round. So keeping it quite thick, quite bulky crown. Yeah, I'm going to show you the full crown now. My delightful hound Winston's going to model it for us. But that's just to give you an idea of what it looks like when you put them into a piece of wired work. So there you go. Just leave that there for you. So this is my hound wearing the flower crown. He's very patient. I've just fed him lots of treats, so he's not missing out. But he does it rather well. This is Winston. So you can kind of see from the crown, I've added a variety more things in there. So there's rose hips, Lisianthus, some dried gypsophilia, pine cones, hydrangea, all sorts. It's slightly too big for him, and I think Katie models it far better than my hand does. But just to give you an idea of what it looks like on something. It's also got the buried eucalyptus. So with the carnations, you can kind of see, can you see them? They're tucked into the bottom. You can kind of see them when he decides to put his head up again. Head up again. Good boy. You can see them just here. And there's some just in there as well. I think he's sniffing for food. There we go. There we go.